Welcome to the 50th episode of Lalitha Sahasranam Stotra. The 1,000 combinations in which the faculties of intellect, discretion, personality, and mind, the northbound faculties, can unite with the southbound faculties in the body, within the body, to untap the hidden potential, the unconditional, from the unconditional cosmic source in the universe. This is the essence of Lalitha Sahasranam Stotra. Let us move on. The next nama is Mahashakti. Perhaps the entire essence of Lalitha Sahasranam Stotra is hidden in this nama. Mahashakti is a unification of the representation of the unification of Universal Mother and Universal Father, that is Kameshwara and Vishwamata, their representation in the form of Sivasekta, Sivasekta Yoga within the body. So through this unification, the drawing of the nectar of the unconditional source from the universe, that is Mahashakti. Maha means it is beyond measurable yardstick. There is no way to measure. It is only limited by the power of intent or sankalpa bala of the individual. So Shakti is essentially it refers to Shakti. If the letters are being examined, then it is basically refers to karmacharana or action performed in Anahat Chakra with the help of the tamoguna. Those are heavy duty attributes, in conjunction with the fire element of the Panchabrahmas or southbound forces. So the fire element is the fastest spreading of all the five elements. So when this fire element gets associated with the tamogunas, when it is subjected into karmacharana action, then there is a lot of hidden potential, latent potential in that capsule that is called Shakti. So the Shakti gets originated from the unification of Universal Father and Universal Mother and their representation within the body, that is Sivasekta. So when this unification happens, so they are in turn, this Sivasekti is in turn connected to the unification mechanism of Universal Father and Universal Mother. So when we tap Sivasekti yoga within the body, then that gives the license to tap the unconditional source of unification of Universal Father and Universal Mother. So Maha means it is beyond measurable yardstick, as already mentioned. So if it is beyond measurable, then how do we quantify it? How do we get the comprehension? How do we understand it? So there should be a way to understand it. So we have to quantify this. So it may be possible that the cash dispensing ATM machine may run out of the cash, but the reservoir of the unconditional source will never get emptied. So that is the significance of Mahashakti. So if we consider the a reservoir completely filled with water, and if that reservoir, if there's an opening or a hole that is it is or a crack that formed on the reservoir structure, then the water gushes out. So the flow characteristics of the water that is gushing out of the reservoir, what does it depend on? It depends on the dimensions of the crack or the hole or the opening. If the opening is too small, then the force with which water gushing out will be very, very high. So similarly, the Mahashakti is only limited by the intention, power of intention or sankalpa of the individual. There is no limitation or there is no conditions on the other side, that is the reservoir. Reservoir is full all the time. So it's only how much an individual wants to tap, how much the individual wants to draw. That is limited by that. That is Mahashakti. So this is also related to power of intent or sankalpa bala. Usually the sankalpa bala, the root for the sankalpa bala is Mahashakti, the internal. It gets originated internally, the power of intent, the sankalpa bala. That is, I have to do this, I want to do this, I want to do well in the exam, or I want to earn money, or I want to get a job. This is sankalpa bala, it gets originated within. The root for this is Mahashakti. So this in Treta Yuga, the super soul who descended to take the human body, that is in the form of Rama. So Rama has 64 distinct qualities. So some of those qualities are Mahaviryo, Mahabahu, Mahahanu, Mahorasko, Maheshwaso, etc., etc. So it seems that Rama has used this Mahashakti in his qualities. Mahavirya means the potency, unlimited potency. Mahabahu means the strength of his the shoulder is unlimited. Similarly, Maheshwaso is the, it refers to Kodanda, the bow that he possesses. It has got unlimited potential. So these are the various examples of Mahashakti. So this same attribute that distinguishes the successful people from those who are not successful. Those who are successful people, as there's a saying that says successful people don't do different things. They just do things differently. And what is the different doing things differently? It is just that their sankalpa bala or the power of intent is very, very strong. So that's why they don't fail. So that's about the Mahashakti. Then the next Nama is Kundalini. So Kundalini is essentially the serpent serpent form having the two ends, exhibiting the two ends of the serpent. So just like the serpent has two ends, the two ends for the Mahashakti are Mooladhara and the Sahasrara. One end is Mooladhara, other end is Sahasrara. So the Kundalini is the capillary force, is the energy force, it's all pervasive force that gets originated in Mooladhara. It is the energy flow. It is inconceivable. It cannot be seen. So it is that fine force. So it is driven by the capillary effects. So it starts in Mooladhara and gets rarefied as it goes upward and reaches Sahasrara. So as it goes upward, it gets more rarefied, and hence it is driven by the diffusion effects of the rarefaction. So that is the power of Kundalini. So the entire essence of Lalitha Sahasranamam is within this sloka Mahashakti Kundalini Visadantu Tamiyasi. So what is the significance of the serpent here? So the serpents predominantly, the major proportion of the time, they are in Paschimayana Purvayana. That means their spine, they don't have spine as such, but their spine is their body essentially. So the spine of a serpent is parallel to the earth, parallel to the ground. That is called Paschimayana Purvayana. If the spine is vertical, just like in human beings, then it is Uttarayana Dakshinayana. If the spine is horizontal, then it is Paschimayana Purvayana. So major proportion of the times serpents are in Paschimayana Purvayana. However, there are some snakes, specialized snakes like king cobra and sacred snakes that were described in our scriptures. They have the ability to stand on their tails. So when they do that, they shift their focus from Paschimayana Purvayana to Uttarayana Dakshinayana, because they are standing tall, they are standing vertical. How do they do that? Is just because of the capillary effects, the contraction, rarefaction of the nadis, the veins in the body, gives them the unlimited force. Through these contractions and rarefactions, they draw the unlimited. They draw Shakti or power from the unlimited unconditional source of the universe. So therefore, serpent is a practitioner of Kundalini Vidya. So not only serpent has learned the Kundalini Vidya, it has implemented in its daily practice. So that's why in this Nama Kundalini, the serpent is being represented. So there are 7 chakras within the body, within our body, that through which this Kundalini flow, the energy flow, takes place, and hence the the significance of number 7 comes into existence, it comes into it surfaces through this Nama. Our ancestors have identified this significance very early, so that's why the significance of 7 can be seen in many many walks of life, in many different formats. So let us examine how many ways this number appears in our daily life, in the universe, through history or through any other mechanisms. There are 7 days in a week. How this has come into, who has initiated this division, 7 days in a week? How did this come into existence? The naturally formed rainbow has 7 colors. So these are starting from infrared to the ripe orange to yellow, green, blue, and UV, that is ultraviolet, and finally the jamun fruit color. So these colors are mapped to the 7 chakras in the body. The Mooladhara has infrared color, Swadhisthana is ripe orange, Manipuraka is yellow, Anahata is green, Visuddhi is blue, then Agna Chakra is ultraviolet, and finally the Sahasra Chakra is jamun fruit color. It is mentioned in our scriptures that sun god, the chariot of sun god, he is having 7 horses. So these are essentially the 7 colors of the Vibjar. And in the same manner, there are Sapta Rishis, 7 main saints. And in the music, the subject of music, musicology, there are 7 notes. And similarly, there are 7 universes in the upward direction, 7 universes in the downward direction, total 14. So the famous pilgrimage place, Lord Venkateshwara in Tirumala, so one needs to pass through 7 hills to reach the abode of Venkateshwara. So in Vyakarana, in the grammar, Sanskrit grammar, there is a Saptami Tatpurusha Samasa that refers to the number 7. In the world there are 7 wonders, and there is a saying in Sahasra that is called Saptamam Daiva Chintanam. And in the homas, the final, the termination is done through what is known as Purnahuti. During the time there is a mantra, it says Sapta Jihva, that means 7 tongues. And there are 7 different ways of performing, bathing in the Sahasra. In Bhagavad Gita and Chandi Saptasati, there are 700 slokas. And Valmiki's Ramayana, there are 7 chapters. And Valmiki has very elaborately described the significance of number 7 in his Ramayana. In Kishkindakanda, the 4th chapter of Ramayana, Rama with one arrow, he at a time, simultaneously, the 7 trees were being uprooted through one arrow. Shooting of one arrow, he uproots 7 trees. These are not normal trees; they are huge trees. Similarly, in Yuddhakanda, the 6th chapter of Ramayana, Lakshmana simultaneously 7 arrows have been fired onto Ravana. The war between Rama and Ramayana, Rama and Ravana, the last fight between Rama and Ravana took place for 7 days. So in our culture, there is something called Saptapadi. That means walking together, 7 steps, taking together 7 steps that the partners, the wife and husband, are supposed to perform. And similarly, there is a significance of 7 births, Sapta Janma. Then in this world there are 7 continents. There are 7 oceans in this world. So there are so many examples of the number 7 that we can see. This 7 is not only limited to the Indian scriptures or Indian. It's not just limited to Indian scriptures alone. Even in Islam, this significance of 7 can be seen. In Islam, it is said that if one eats 7 dates, the fruits, then they go to heaven. In the Jesus Christ, the cross of the Jesus Christ, there are 7 glorified sayings are written. So this 7 has a lot of importance. That is because of the Kundalini Chakra, 7 Kundalini Chakras. And our ancestors have identified this, and somehow they've introduced, I think, the 7 days in a week. So the Brahma, who is the originator for everything, the Brahma himself got nourished through Kundalini energy. So therefore, the entire universe gets nourishment from Kundalini energy. So it proves that the originator of the universe himself got nourishment through Kundalini energy. So the universe itself, the entire universe, is being nourished through Kundalini energy. So it proves the point. So there is so much that we can say about Kundalini. However much is being covered, it is still incomplete. Kundalini is all pervasive. That's the only way to describe Kundalini energy. It's the most beautiful form of energy, and it represents everything. If we are talking, it's because of the Kundalini energy. If you are breathing, it's because of the Kundalini energy. As simple as that. We are passing urine, it's because of the Kundalini energy. So we are sweating, it's because of the Kundalini energy. So Kundalini is nothing but capillary. Capillary is nothing but Kundalini. The greatest scientist of 20th century, Albert Einstein, hypothesized the existence of the gravitational waves way back in 19th century. And these gravitational waves are nothing but the Kundalini waves that originate from the planet Earth. So if we consider planet Earth as one being, living being um, with a heart and with proper um, proper body metabolism, then the breathing cycle of that body represented by breathing cycle of earth represented by that body, that is that breathing cycle illustrating the Kundalini energy from that body is the gravitational force, gravitational waves. So that is what Albert Einstein has proposed. So this Kundalini is all pervasive. So that's about the significance on the Kundalini. The next nama is Bisatantu Taniyasi. So this is a beautiful nama, Bisatantu Taniyasi. It refers to the stem of lotus. It has got if one examines the cross section of the stem of the lotus, then one can see fine pores, fine openings, or fine holes. So if the diameter of the hole or opening is smaller, then the capillary effect is that much more intense or greater. And one can see that this capillary effect, if the fineness of the hole is microscopic, then there is when the air passes through that fine hole or diameter, it gives rise to some acoustics. That is what is being used, exploited in many musical instruments like flute, etc., etc. So that sound is called Bisatantu Taniyasi. Bisa. That sound is called Bisa. So essentially it refers to the capillary force associated with the flow of the Kundalini energy. So in the previous Nama Kundalini, the serpent effects have been described. The capillary effects of the serpent were described. So what makes the serpent or the snake, the king cobra, to stand on its tail? So most of the time these snakes are so they live in a tunnel. They live underground. So in a hole, and so it is believed that their biggest nourishment is breathing of air. So they are in yoga most of the time, just breathing air, living underground, hiding underground, and only if it is absolutely necessary for hunting, they just come out of the hole. And so they can exhibit Paschimana, Purvayana as well as Uttarayana, Dakshinayana, depending on the situation. That's because of their control on the air, the capillary effects, and the control on the capillary effects is because of their breathing cycle, the control on their breathing cycle, and the control on the breathing cycle is because they are in yoga all the time, most of the time. So they do not have the filtering mechanisms, the grandhis that the humans possess. The three grandhis are not present in serpents. So there is no control. There is no There are no blockages. So the capillary force is uninterrupted in serpents. And Visatantu Taniyasi refers to the capillary effects here. In our body, there are 72,000 nadis or veins that are, some are macroscopic, and some are microscopic in nature. Macroscopic in the sense the diameter of the nadi is macroscopic. Microscopic diameter is too small. It is microscopic in dimension. So the 72,000 nadis, the contractions and rarefactions give rise to so much capillary force. So it is essentially represents the Visatantu Taniyasi. The midpoint of the 7 Kundalini chakras, that is Anahat chakra or heart chakra, if one can ignite fire in Anahat chakra and can filter out the rarefied form of the flow in the upward direction and the heavy form of the flow in the downward direction, they have this ability to tap the source of unconditionality that is emanating from the unification of the Universal Mother and Universal Father. And that state is called Visatantu Taniyasi. So in this state, this is yogam. Visatantu Taniyasi is yogam, just like the serpent hiding in a hole, having a yogam. Most of the time it is just sitting there, just breathing, having a control on their breath. So in this state, Visatantu Taniyasi, where one is drawing the unconditional nectar from the Universal Father and Universal Mother. So the sun's rays from Mooladhara within the body, they fall on the moon in Sahasrara. So they reflect on the moon. So this is the effect of the Visatantu Taniyasi. This is the best state that one can envision to be in. So there's no better state than this in a human life. So those who have drifted away from the Dharma Chakra and behave like beasts, behave more severely than animalistic behavior, behave like beasts, and were beyond the control of para, apara, and parapara, and para, para. So those such individuals who were refusing to get transformed, they have been now transformed through these various techniques of genetic transformation, the existence of genetic formation of the Grandhis, 3 Grandhis, etc., and the Kundalini, ignition of the Kundalini energy, the soul connection, etc., etc. Now they have been transformed into yogam. So that is the power of Universal Mother. So there's a formula in science: last in, first out. So this algorithm is used in programming also. Last in, first out. So usually those who are most notorious, they cannot be transformed. They are most difficult to get transformed. Such individuals are the first. They they will be the first one to get transformed by the Universal Mother, and they will be having a highest spiritual quotient, that is last in, first out. So in this similar manner, those who are you cannot be accommodated in any of those divisions that Universal Mother has made, and they were notorious, they have been transformed to the highest level. That is the power of Universal Mother, and that's obviously the yardstick. And if the technique has to be tested, it has to be tested on the worst case scenario. If it works on the worst case scenario, then it works on any other situation, any other conditions. So that's the strategy of the Universal Mother. So through this Nama, Bisatantu Taniyasi, there are 24 forms of the Gurus that exist in this universe. One of the form is the serpent form. So through this Nama, Bisadantu Taniyasi, the serpent form of the 24 Gurus comes into existence. So let us have a quick recap on these 7 chakras and how they have been functioning. So Muladhara chakra is essentially it is the rotation or the vibration of the Muladhara chakra, the activation of the Muladhara chakra. It gives rise to the heavy water element flow in the upward direction, and then this flow, when it reaches the Swadhisthana chakra, the water element, because due to the rotation of the Swadhisthana chakra, the earth element and water element both get separated in the flow. The Brahma Grandhi, now the filter has 2 components, that is earth element and the water element. So Brahma Grandhi filters the heavy water element. What leaves the Brahma Grandhi, the flow that leaves the Brahma Grandhi has predominantly the earth element. This earth element now goes to the Manipura chakra, and then due to the rotation of the Manipura chakra, it gets rarefied in earth element. Then it passes through the Anaha chakra, where the fire element is added to the earth element due to the rotation of the Anaha chakra. So the filter of Vishnu Grandhi possesses fire element and earth element. So the Vishnu Grandhi filters the earth element. So what leaves Vishnu Grandhi is predominantly the fire element. This fire element now reaches Visuddhi and gets rarefied further. So that means whatever is the residual earth elements are downgraded or sent back beyond, from Visuddhi chakra. Then beyond Visuddhi chakra, the flow encounters the Agna chakra rotation, and the air element gets added. It gives the direction or impetus, and this is where the Shakti or the fuel is added to the flow. Then the flow encounters the Rudra Grandhi, where the filter of Rudra Grandhi filters out the fire element, and the rarefied air element now reaches the Sahasra chakra, where it encounters the sky element. So this is the way in which the 7 chakras and 3 gandhis or knots work in unison with the 5 elements within the body. And the significance of number 7 is already been described. So therefore this sloka, which is a very beautiful and most important sloka perhaps, Mahasakti Kundalini Visatantu Taniyasi. So Mahasakti, through Mahasakti, the faculty of personality receives the training. Kundalini, through that faculty of intellect, and Visatantu Taniyasi, through that faculty of mind, receives the training. The remaining namas we will explore in the next episode. Thank you.